My mother had an affair and betrayed my father. How can I cope with the emotional shock? Before, if anyone asked me if I loved my mother, I would answer without hesitation, yes, very much. My mother was the kind of person who was both strict and full of sacrifice. She not only managed the household duties, but also ran a small clinic, a place that she and my father built together to support our family through difficult times. Although there was always an underlying tension at home, with endless arguments between my mother and father, I always tried to believe that everything my mother did was for our well being. I used to think my mom was the victim. For many years, she frequently said that my dad was unfaithful, that he was seeing another woman. I believed her. I hated how my dad would always stay silent and take it, and I despised how he never stood up for himself. To me, my mom was the only one brave enough to speak the truth, the one who always stood on the side of what was right, until I found out that the truth was the complete opposite. That day, my dad, who rarely shows emotion, called me into his room with an unusual expression on his face. He told me to sit down, quietly opened his laptop, and played a video clip from a security camera he had secretly installed in the house months ago. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. My mom, the woman who had once cried and accused my dad of betrayal, was the one embracing and kissing another man. Not just once, not just in one place. My dad had gathered enough evidence over the years, but he remained silent because he wanted to protect me. His words left me unsure whether to feel moved or even more pained. I sat there in silence. Something inside me shattered. It wasn't just disappointment, it was a complete disillusionment. My mom, the epitome of sacrifice, the woman I once thought would never do anything to hurt the family, was the one causing the deepest wound. I felt deceived not only by her actions, but by the trust I had placed in her for the past 24 years. The memories that once made me proud, like the time my mom stood up to fight for fairness for my grandparents, or when she pushed herself to work while I was sick, now felt suffocatingly contradictory. I didn't know how to sort through my emotions, whether to be angry or still love her. Worse still, I couldn't tell anyone. Who could understand the feeling of having the mother you once idolized be the one to tear your family apart? Since that day, I no longer look at my mom the way I used to. The betrayal didn't just hurt my dad, it also ripped apart the relationship between my mom and me. The trust is gone, and I don't know how to get it back, or if that's even possible. Since the day I learned the truth, I have been torn in a never-ending conflict with no way out. On one side is my father, the man who has silently borne pain for years, the person I once misunderstood, who I thought was the one causing all the turmoil in our family. On the other side is my mother, the woman I once idolized, who I always saw as the embodiment of strength, love, and sacrifice. Now every value I once held dear has been upended. I feel like I'm standing in the middle of a battlefield, not knowing who to lean towards, unsure of how to love one without hurting the other. This feeling gnaws at me every day. Every time I talk to my father, I feel guilty for not being able to completely sever ties with my mother. Every time my mother calls to check on me, though her voice is still as gentle as before, I feel like I'm betraying the father who has been hurt by her. I don't know how to act. As a child of both, I want to maintain my love for both my father and mother. But what has happened has made every moment of intimacy feel forced, as though I'm wearing a mask in my own family. There are times when I ask myself, do I have the right to be angry with my mother? Do I have the right to forgive her? And if I forgive her, does that mean I'm betraying my father? The question keeps digging deeper like a dull knife, painful but unclear. I remember the look in my father's eyes when he told me the truth, the eyes filled with hurt, yet with a hint of relief, as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. I also remember my mother's voice trembling with fear when she realized I knew everything, asking, "Can you still talk to me?" I don't want to lose both. But at this point, maintaining a good relationship with each one means ignoring my own true feelings. I can't lie to my father, and tell him I've cut ties with my mother, just as I can't embrace my mother and forget what she has done. My family is no longer a united whole. Each person is now like an isolated island, and I am the only one still trying to rebuild the broken bridges. Worse yet, my parents are beginning to pull me into their own conflicts. My father wants me to stand by him in financial matters and the division of assets. My mother wants me to understand that, despite her faults, she has made many sacrifices for the family. I know that both of them have their own pains, their own hidden wounds, and the exhaustion that has accumulated over decades of living together. But I am not the referee. I am just a child who is trying to hold on to whatever is left of what's called family. In those moments, I wish I could just disappear. Not because I'm cowardly, but because I am so exhausted from forcing myself to not hurt anyone further. I once thought that as long as I was forgiving enough, as long as I understood enough, I could be the mediator between them. But the harsh reality is much worse. In a family that has broken apart, the one in the middle is always the one who gets crushed first. Amidst my father's sighs and my mother's heavy silence, I quietly gnaw at my sense of loneliness. I still love them both. That's a truth I can't deny. But to love them without losing myself may be the greatest challenge I've ever faced in my life. I still love my mother, even though my heart is filled with pain, even though what she has done has made me no longer look at her the way I once did. I still can't completely sever the feelings I have for the one who gave birth to me and raised me. But that love is no longer pure. It's now mixed with anger, disappointment, confusion, and even a desire for forgiveness. Not for my mother, but for myself, because I can't hate her entirely as I once thought I would. After finding out, I tried to avoid my mother for a while. It wasn't because I wanted to punish her, but because I didn't know how to face her. Every time I heard her voice on the phone or saw a message asking how I was, I felt a lump in my throat. There were times when I read her messages and just stared at the screen, not knowing how to reply. "Are you okay?" she asked. I wanted to scream, "No, I'm not okay at all." But instead, I typed a few meaningless words and deleted them. In the end, I just replied, "I'm fine." I wonder, can you forgive someone who has betrayed your trust for years? Can a child rebuild a relationship with their mother after everything that's happened? I've read so many articles, so many stories, but none of them fit my situation. Every family has its own story, its own wound, and the healing process can't be copied from someone else. There were times I tried talking to my mother again. At first, just a few pleasantries. Then one afternoon, I decided to call her on video. Her familiar face appeared, but there was something in her eyes that I had never seen before. Loneliness. She was no longer the powerful woman who used to speak, loudly and confidently. Instead, she was a mother struggling to hold on to her son, trying to keep a small piece of the family that had fallen apart. She didn't explain much, didn't justify herself. She just quietly said, "I was wrong. I don't expect you to understand right away. I just hope you'll still call me Mom." I stayed silent for a long time after that. Not because I had forgiven her, but because I realized something. Despite all the trust that had collapsed, she was still my mother. That woman used to wake up early to cook for me when I was studying for my college exams. That woman once sold her only wedding ring to pay for my first year's tuition. That woman, though she was wrong, was still a human being. Not perfect, not saintly as I once thought, but still very real and worthy in her own way. Forgiveness doesn't mean accepting or forgetting the mistakes. For me, forgiveness now is a long journey, one step at a time, so that I don't carry this anger for the rest of my life, so that I don't become bitter because of what others have done. I don't know if I can rebuild trust with my mother. Maybe things will never be the same as before, but I want to give both of us a chance to understand each other, to accept the truth, to know that even though everything has changed, there is still a way to start again somehow. I don't want to be the judge. I want to be the child, not blindly, not weakly, but someone who is clear headed enough to set boundaries and compassionate enough to give my mother and myself a way out of the wounds that haven't healed. I can endure my own pain and I can learn to forgive my mother to some extent. But what torments me the most is my younger sister, the one who's 7 years younger than me, stepping into the most important exams of her life, yet caught in this spiral of destruction when she's done nothing wrong. She doesn't know the full truth yet. Our parents still hide it from her, just as my father once hid it from me. I understand they want to protect her, to keep her stable through the stress of her exams, but she's not stupid. The arguments, the coldness between our parents, the heavy silences with no one explaining, all of these leave huge questions in the mind of a growing child. She's starting to ask me hesitant questions. Do you think mom and dad have been acting weird lately? Why doesn't mom come home for dinner? Dad seems really sad, doesn't he? I don't know how to answer. Telling her the truth might break her, but staying silent also leaves her living in uncertainty and fear. I remember how I felt when I learned everything, the shock, the disorientation, the emptiness. I don't want her to go through that, especially when she still has her university exams ahead, which will shape her future. So I chose to quietly stand by her. I drive her to school, cook with her, make the most of every evening to talk, listening to her talk about the tough subjects, the pressure from teachers, friends, and even the vague fears she can't name. I can't take the burden of her exams away, but I can be a small support when she feels like the world around her is shaking. I also tried talking to our parents, asking them to set aside their disputes and maintain stability for her in the coming months. At least let her finish her exams before we deal with everything, I told them. Though no promises were made, I know both of them understood, and both love her in their own way. No matter how much they hurt each other, my sister is the last thread connecting them as parents. I also started writing her small notes to hide in her bag. Some words of encouragement, a short wish, sometimes just a little drawing of a heart, and the words, "Hang in there." She doesn't know it's me, but every time she finds one, her face brightens a little. In those moments, my heart softens. We don't get to choose our family, and we don't know when life's challenges will strike. But I believe that if someone who knows the truth and carries so many wounds, can still rise above it, then my sister, who still has the chance to dream, still deserves to have a truly fulfilling youth, at least for now. I don't know what the future holds for our family. After her exams, everything might continue to fall apart, and we may have to face the irremediable truth. But for now, I just want to be her solid support. I can't change the past of our parents, but I can shape my sister's future through my presence, my love, and everything I can give during the darkest time in our family. When I look at my little sister, I realize there's only one thing I can do right now: help her get through this difficult time without letting it affect her future too much. In her eyes, I'm the older brother, the one she always trusts and relies on whenever something worries her. I can't let her get swept up in this whirlwind, just like I was. She's still so young, with a long road ahead of her, and I want to help her get through this phase without carrying too much damage. So I decided to face the truth. Not because I'm ready to forgive mom, but because I want to help her understand that even if the family falls apart, there are still good things we can hold on to. I don't want her to feel like I did, stuck in the debris of a broken family, not knowing what to do or whose side to take. I can't erase the betrayal mom caused, but I can help her not feel lost, not have to endure the sense of loss I've been through. I started talking openly with her, not about the betrayal, not about the painful things, but about what she's feeling. I asked her how she felt when she saw mom and dad argue, when she noticed a change in the family atmosphere, and about the pressure she's facing with her important exams. I didn't want her to feel like a burden, but I wanted her to know that I'm here to listen, to share, and to be with her through this tough time. Sometimes we don't need to say much to understand each other. Those quiet moments together, when I just need to see her smile, I know she's slowly finding peace in her heart, at least for now. While I can't change the family situation completely, I can help her rediscover small joys in the remaining days of her youth. Like me, she doesn't deserve to bear the full weight of the mistakes made by the adults. For me, supporting her isn't just about exams or academic pressure. It's also about helping her not to be haunted by the wounds within the family, helping her not feel like she's lacking in love or care from our parents. I understand that she still needs someone to lean on, and I want to be that person, not with the responsibility of a father, but as an older brother always by her side when she feels lost. I started looking for small activities we could do together. We'd take walks in the park on weekends, I'd take her to the movies, and sometimes we'd simply sit down together and have a meal. Those moments didn't need to be flashy, just simple, but they were exactly what she needed right now. I can't replace her parents, but I can create a peaceful space where she feels loved and appreciated. Although I still can't fully understand everything that's going on in the family, and though I'm still struggling with my feelings of betrayal toward mom, at least I can help my little sister not feel alone. In a broken family, I want to be the link that holds us all together, even if it's just temporarily, but enough for her to find safety again, and enough to keep us close during these difficult times. I know the road ahead is long and there will be many challenges, but at least I can make sure she doesn't have to walk that path alone. When facing family crises, sometimes we can't change the past, but we can decide how we face it and overcome it. What's important is not what we can do to fix every mistake, but how we support each other and find the light in the darkest times. Even though we may not be able to change others, we can still choose how to love and protect the people who matter most. Don't let old wounds blur the love and unity in the family, even in times of pain. Remember that forgiveness, patience, and love are invisible sources of strength that help us stand firm and get through the toughest storms. If you're going through a tough time, don't forget that you're not alone. There are people around you who are ready to walk with you, share the burden, and help you find peace again. Believe that no matter what, family is where we find comfort, and the choices we make today will shape our happiness in the future. This is the end of the story. If you liked it, please leave a comment, like, share, and subscribe so we can get more motivation to create the next videos. Thank you for listening, goodbye, and see you next time.